Hello, welcome to week 1 of Python. My name is Megan and today I'll be covering an intro to Python. So you may be wondering, what exactly is Python? Well, Python is a popular high-level programming language that is known for its simple syntax that is similar to the English language. You may also be wondering, why would I want to learn Python? Well, Python is used for website development, software development, mathematics, and system scripting. To install Python, you can download it from this website and then select the version and appropriate operating system for your computer. Then you can open it in an IDE, some of them being idle, the default installed PyCharm and VS Code. Or you can also use Python in Replit without having to download it, and Replit will also let you collaborate in real time. So in idle, when you open it, it'll automatically open a Python shell. In the Python shell, you can run lines of code automatically just by pressing enter. You can also create a new file and then write longer programs and then run them by clicking run module, and before that you have to first save it. And then it will run in the Python shell. Or in Replit, you can create a new Replit. Choose the Python template, name it, create the Replit, and then you can type your code here. And then run it over here, where it will display. So now that we've gone through how to install Python, we're going to talk about syntax. So in Python, whitespace is really important. And so there are two main types of whitespace, a new line and tabs. So a new line separates each statement. So two statements cannot be on the same line since the new line denotes the end of them. This is like really similar to a semicolon in Java. In Python, there are also tabs or indentations that are used to denote blocks of code. So lines of codes that are indented the same are in the same block. And this is like similar to curly brackets in Java. So in Python, you can also create comments which are used to document code. So to create a single line comment, you can use the hashtag symbol and then write the comment after the hashtag symbol. And this can be used at the end of a line of a code or on a separate line. You can also create multi-line comments with 3 double quotation marks. And to do this, you should begin and end the comment with the 3 double quotation marks. And this is known as documentation string or docstring, and it mainly is used to describe the purpose of a section of code. So for example, in Python shell, if you want to do a comment, you can put it at the end of the line of code, and it'll just ignore everything that you put after the hashtag for the single line comments. For the multi-line comments, you can just type multiple lines and see when I enter it, it won't run. And the 3 quotation marks at the end will indicate the end of the comment. And when I click enter, it will uh, return what my comment was if you do it in shell, but if you do it in a separate file, um, it will just ignore anything that you put inside of it. For example, if I put this inside, it will ignore that. And it will only run the second line that is outside of the comment. And single line comments also work here. And it will also ignore that. And the same goes for reply. So in addition to comments, there are also some reserved words which can only be used in certain contexts. These cannot be used as variables. We'll go over variables a little later. But here are some of the reserved words. And print statements in Python are used to display output for users to see, and the general syntax of a print statement is print and then 2 parentheses, and the message should be placed inside the parentheses. I already demonstrated a little bit of this, but here's another example of hello world. And it will just print anything you put inside the parentheses. A thing to note about print statements is that for you can see that for hello world and hi, I both put them in quotation marks, and this indicates that is a string. Without the quotation marks, the program will think that it's a variable, and when you try to run it, it will tell you that it's invalid syntax. Or if I get rid of the space, it will give you an error when you try to run it. This is because it thinks it is a variable, and again, we'll cover variables a little later. So, I just mentioned strings, and strings are an example of data types. So Python has many built-in data types, some of which are strings, which is basically just text. These are enclosed by single or double quotation marks. And some examples of this are hello, bye, 5, and true. Another data type is int, and this is just an integer, and so this has no decimal point. Some examples are 7, 3, and -12. There are also floats, and these are decimal values and include the decimal point. Some examples are 10.4, 0.135, and 1.0. Another important data type are bool, which are booleans, and these have to be true or false. So the only examples of this are true and false. There are also many other built-in data types, but these are the main ones that we will be using today. So to determine the data type, you can use the type command. So some examples of this would be type 3. So this is an int, but if I put it in quotation marks, this would be a string. I can also do type true, this is a bool, and if I put it in quotation marks, it will be a string. So if you put anything in quotation marks, it'll become a string, regardless if it's like a number or like a word or an integer or like a variable. So then you can also cast data types to specify the type of data type you want. So for string, all types can be converted. So for example, this would be string 3, which will output 3, or string hi, which will string hi, which will output hi. And so like you saw that I just got an error by typing string hi. That is because the function is str parentheses, and you have to make sure that you use the exact name of the function. So another function that you can use is int to specify that it is an int data type. And this only works on numbers. So I can do int 3. But if I try to do like int hi, it'll give me an error. You can also use this on decimal points, for example 3.4, and it will just truncate the decimal point, which like basically gets rid of anything after the decimal point. So another function is float. You can use this only on numbers. Example is 3. And so it'll add a decimal point to integers. And again, when you try to do like use this on a word, then it will give you an error. So there are also, you can also use the bool function to change any data type to a boolean. So for the bool data type, it'll always return true unless the object is empty, false, 0, or none. So in this case, I'm putting nothing between the parentheses, so it's empty, and will return false. But if I like put anything else, then it will return true. So here are also some additional examples. Another thing of note are escape sequences. So in Python, a backslash is known as an escape character, and it is used to change the literal meaning of a string. So for example, print hello world will return hello enter world. So if I do here, so here's hello world. There are also many other ways that the backslash character can be used. For example, you can use just a single backslash in a new line to ignore a break. So this will basically just treat the entire piece of code as one line of code and it'll just ignore any enters. You can do 2 backslashes to use the backslash character. Since backslash is an escape character, just using a single backslash has a different purpose than just displaying the backslash. You can also do backslash double quote for double quotes, backslash T for a horizontal tab, backslash N for a new line, which I demonstrated, backslash R for a cartridge return, or backslash B for a backspace. So that is it for our first class of Python. Thank you for listening, and I hope you tune in for our second video. Thank you.